Honestly, big twist, how dare you call this my favorite faux fur? There is fluff everywhere. I need some joy in my life. I do not need this kind of stress today. Hello and welcome to the Faded Wildflower Crochet. My name is Rachel, and today is another episode of Will It All Me, which is a series on my channel where we test out different types of yarn and see if they work for amigurumi. Today's yarn is Big Twist Favorite Faux Fur. And we'll see if it's actually our favorite. We've actually tried quite a few different fur yarns on this channel so far, so we'll see how this one stacks up against those. The pattern that I'm going to be working from today is this cute little worm. I have a video tutorial for this worm right now on my Patreon, so if you want to make your own worm, you can find the pattern there. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get a closer look at this yarn. So here is a closer look at this yarn, and you will notice that I also have it in this gray color. So originally I was going to make my wrap pattern in these two colors here, but then I realized that this is only 37 yards. So I was afraid that this wouldn't quite be enough to complete that pattern. But if you'll take a look at this yarn, you will notice that it is basically two strands that are woven together throughout. So I figured that for the pink one, we could go ahead and make the worm with both strands, but then after that, we could, with this gray yarn, see if it's possible to take the strands apart and work with it like that, because that would be really interesting and make this yarn a lot more versatile if that is the case, if it will work for us to be able to do that. So we will see. But first, let's go ahead and take a closer look at all of the details of this yarn. So this is, like I said, 37 yards. That's it. 100% polyester. It is a size 7 jumbo, which I wasn't even aware that that was a thing. Were you guys aware that they made a 7 jumbo size? I don't know. So I like when they tell you how many skeins you will need to complete a project. I think that's kind of cool. It does tell you that you would need a size Q hook. Of course, we will go smaller since we are making an amigurumi, but I'm not sure what size hook we will need. And this color is called Pastel Pink. And then this gray one is called Weimaraner. That's a cute name. So we are going to go ahead and get started by making our worm. Okay, first impressions. This yarn is stressing me out, you guys. It is so thick. I could not get any safety eyes to go in. I tried every single different size that I had. Nothing worked. I tried turning the washer upside down. Sometimes that works. That didn't work. The thickness level is reminding me a lot of the Juicy Couture extra large yarn that we tried on the channel. And it is similar in that it's two strands woven together. But this one's just fur and that one was velvet. But it is definitely that level of thick. And you know that I had a really hard time getting the safety eyes to clip on that one as well. But honestly, I'm just not going to stress myself about it. I'm just going to leave the eyes off and then maybe embroider some eyes at the end. I'm not really sure what I'll end up coming up with. But I don't want to risk a hand injury over trying to get safety eyes to get into this thing. So this is definitely something to think about if you're wanting to try this yarn, is that safety eyes may or may not work. Now, I know that they make those tools to help you clip in safety eyes. If I had one of those, maybe it would work. I don't know. I'm just not going to stress myself out too much about it. Another thing is, like I said, because this yarn is so thick, I was going to try to show you the stitches. You obviously cannot see the stitches. It is a fur yarn. That's to be expected. But there is some gapping in there a little bit, even still, even though I went down to this 6.5 hook. I started out at like a 10 millimeter, and then I went to an 8 millimeter, and those feel nicer on the hand, I will say. I'm not having to pull as tight, but it's just leaving too many gaps. And you guys know I do not like any gaps in my work. I don't even think I'm going to put stuffing in this one. I think I'm just going to go ahead and put in the foam roller as it is, because usually I do put in a little bit of stuffing just so that you can't feel this little end to the foam roller. But because this is so thick, you're not going to be able to feel it anyway. So I'm not even going to fuss with stuffing on this one. But if I were putting stuffing in it, I would still worry a little bit about stuffing coming out. So that is something to think about as well. Now you saw that I flipped this inside out. If you watched my video on the Premier plush yarn, then you will know that I like to flip my plushies inside out when I'm working with the fur yarn because the outside or the wrong side is much fluffier and nicer than the right side in this case. So here is the wrong side. And then let me show you the right side on this one. Oh, it's so hard to do. So you can see that it's just like a little bit more squished looking, whereas the wrong side looks a lot nicer and not like fluffier, just like not as squished. I will say that with this one, as thick as this fur is, it's not too much of a difference as something thinner like the one that we tried last time. But I am going to just flip it inside out. And I think what I'm going to do is just work all of this all the way to the bottom, flip it inside out, and then put my foam roller in and sew it up. So that is what we're going to do. And then we'll figure out something with the eyes. Honestly, big twist. How dare you call this my favorite faux fur? Because it definitely is not so far. As if I wasn't already having a hard enough time, this yarn just came apart. So these two were definitely tied together, I think. And then as I was crocheting with it, it just came apart. So one strand is still intact here. The second strand is completely fallen apart. I guess I could just knot these back together and keep going. I guess that's what I'm going to do. Not impressed. Big twist. I'm not impressed at all. So I thought I would chat with you guys as I'm working on this worm that is probably going to end up looking more like a fluffy caterpillar. So I know that I don't really talk a lot about politics on this channel because I know probably a lot of you guys use this as an escape to not have to think about that for a little while. So I won't say much, but this is the first video that I'm filming after the US election results. And so I just want to reach out and say that if you guys are struggling or if you need someone to talk to, feel free to chat with me either in the comments or Instagram DMs or whatever. I'm here for you. I'm also going to leave a couple of different resources in my description box down below. Just in case you guys are really struggling and you need to reach out to a professional, I will leave a couple of resources. I just want you to know that I'm with you. I hear you. I see you. And, we're going to get through this. That's all the politics talk. That's all I'm going to say. I see the mailman and he is bringing me a couple of packages. So the other thing that I wanted to chat with you guys about today is that you may notice that I have a whole bunch of yarn back here. It is from the brand Catch, not Quiche. I was pronouncing it wrong for a long time, but it is pronounced Catch. I work with them now doing their social media content, and they sent me a bunch of their yarn in order to make things for their social media. I don't get paid to say anything good about them. I genuinely do like their yarns, but I don't get paid to say anything. I don't even have an affiliate code or anything like that. I just work with them making social media content. But anyways, they also sent me, I don't know if you can see it back here, but they sent me some of their macrame rope as well. Is that what you call it? Macrame rope? Macrame whatever. They sent me some stuff to make macrame with as well. And I've never done macrame. So yesterday I went to the library and I got this book about doing macrame. And I thought it would be fun to try out. But I don't know if you guys would be interested in me making a video of like crocheter tries macrame for the first time. I don't know. If you guys are interested in that, let me know. I'm going to do it either way, but I don't know if it's worth making a video about or not. Or if you guys are just here for the crochet content, please let me know. Anyway, I'm going to continue on this worm until the mailman gets here, and then maybe we'll open our packages that he's bringing me. got my package and I already peeked inside a little bit, but I thought I would show you. I ordered a 6-pack of fairy lights, and this is how big the packaging is. It's so tiny. I hope that this is enough, but I'm wanting to string some fairy lights on my shelf. I had some on there at one point, but it just wasn't enough, and so I ordered more, and I'm hoping that this is enough. I will maybe put them on right now after I'm done making this worm. I'm not sure, but it does say it has a battery in it already, I think. Yes, it already has a battery in it, so that's awesome. So I think we'll put these up here in a minute. And then I got this, which I was hoping that you could tell from the outside what it is, but you can't. But it is another crochet kit. Let's see if we can tell if we open this up. Oh, here we go. This is what I'm going to be making for trying out something for Christmas. I'm trying to get myself in the Christmas spirit, you guys. I am not ready, but we are going to be trying out this little crochet kit with these little puppets. So we'll see how that is. But yeah, I'm really excited about that. That box was like deceptively small. I was like, oh no, is everything that I ordered in here? But everything is here. It's just nice and compact. So I will be trying that out in a couple of weeks, and yeah, we'll put up some fairy lights here in a minute. I don't know. I need some joy in my life today, you guys. So let's hope that that does the trick. Okay, well, there is fluff everywhere. Can you see that it is all over my shirt? I was struggling to get this to flip inside out, and in the process, fluff got everywhere. As if I didn't already dislike this yarn enough, there is fluff everywhere now. And I realized that I really should have done a few less stitches because this is a little bit too big, but you know what? We're going with it as it is. I am going to attempt to embroider some eyes on this, and then this will be done. And then we are going to try to take apart the other skein of yarn and see if we can work with it that way. I don't know if it's going to come apart as easily as I think it will. We'll also see if there's more factory knots, because there were factory knots in this one. I'm struggling, you guys. I'm doing my best out here. But yeah, we're just going to throw some eyes on this, and I'm not sure what to make with the gray yarn. I was originally going to make a rat. I just don't know if I'm going to have time to make like a whole big thing. I may just like crochet like a little circle and turn it into like a cat or something. I don't know. We'll see first of all if it's even, we have the ability to take it apart into the separate strands, which I think we will be able to. We will see. Okay, so I am going to try and give this some eyes. I'm not exactly sure the best way to do that. I feel like embroidering on this is going to be a little bit difficult. We'll see. So my worm is done, and I ended up putting my lights back here on this shelf because it wasn't quite enough to put on my big shelf, but it's the perfect amount for that. I think it looks really cute. I think that I might just order 2 packs because they were not very expensive. I think I might just order more to go on my big shelf because I like the way it looks, but I want it to be like really full and nice looking and like maybe even double up the strands. I don't know. I need to do some looking into getting more fairy light. So I was going to open up the other skein, the gray skein that I have of this, but since I don't really like it very much, I kind of want to see if I can return the unopened one. And this is how much of the pink I have left. So I figured we would just try to take apart this into the separate strands and then work with it from there. We'll see. We'll see if that ends up saving this yarn. I don't know because so far I just don't really like it. But I discovered as I was sewing up my little worm here that this is not just 2 strands woven together. It is actually 3 separate strands that are woven together. So I'm going to try to work this into 3 separate little balls of yarn, and then we'll see if we can crochet with it. And I figure we could just try to crochet another worm since I need something quick to do, or I may just like see how it crochets because I am running out of time for the day. So we will see how it goes and how easy this is to actually work into the different strands. So let's try. Okay, that was a disaster, you guys. I thought that that was going to be really easy, but like nothing about this yarn has been easy so far. I got like a little bit of it apart, but I kept trying to get these separate strands apart, and maybe somebody else would have a better way of doing that. But every time when I was trying to, it just kept getting knotted up on itself. Like you can see that this is kind of a mess. And then it just kept breaking. Like any tension I was putting on the yarn, trying to like separate the strands, it just like kept breaking off. So I just am, I could keep trying to do it, but like little bits of this fuzz just keep getting everywhere. They're like in my nose, they're in my eyes. And I'm just done dealing with this yarn today, guys. I need some joy in my life. I do not need this kind of stress today. So we're just going to be done with this yarn. We're going to call it here. So yeah, we will do the final reveal of my little worm and then talk about my final thoughts, even though you guys know how I feel about this yarn. I think you can tell. But don't make fun of my little worm. I feel like it's not very cute. You'll have to judge for yourselves if you think it's cute or not. Let me know. Okay, for better or worse, she is done. Do not judge my embroidered eyes too harshly. I did my best. I'm so impressed with people who can embroider really nicely on fluffy yarns. I've seen people do it, but it wasn't even just that this yarn is fluffy. It's also so thick. It was just not a fun experience at all. I mean, neither was the rest of it, to be honest. This is definitely not high enough quality for me to sell. And I honestly don't even think that I'm going to be giving this to my daughters because of how bad this sheds. I've had to lint roll my shirt like 3 times and it's like in my nose and eyes, and it's just a nightmare, you guys. So now we're going to talk about a few different categories of this yarn and talk about whether I give it a thumbs up, a thumbs down, or a sideways thumb. First, is this easy to work with? This is an immediate thumbs down from me. This is so hard to get your tension right. It is so hard to not have little gaps in your work that you can feel in there. It sheds, it splits into the 3 separate strands as you were trying to sew with it. So that is difficult. It also had factory knots in it. There was just really nothing about this yarn that was easy to work with at all. So now let's talk about the price of this yarn. At $9.99 a skein for only 37 yards, I feel like that's criminal. Big Twist deserves jail for that one. Oh my goodness. And I mean, you can find this on sale sometimes, but even still, I'm giving this category a thumbs down. Oh my gosh, there's little fuzzes. I don't know if you guys can see the little fuzzes that are floating around from this yarn. There's like one on my phone right there. There's another one flying right there. Like they're everywhere. So now let's talk about the colors that this yarn comes in. I was actually pretty impressed with the variety of colors that this comes in. There are some plain shades and then there are some variegated shades, and they are all really beautiful. I just wish that I liked this yarn enough to try all the different colors, but I am going to give a thumbs up for the color range. So now let's talk about the texture of this yarn. I give this a sideways thumb because I do really like the fluffiness. It feels so soft and so nice, but you know, first of all, it sheds. And second of all, I feel like it is just so thick that it almost makes your finished plushie heavy. And I mean, if that's what you're going for, you might like that. I personally just don't. So that's why I'm giving this a sideways thumb. I thought I would talk a little bit about the comparison of this yarn to other fluffy yarns that I've tried. And ironically, despite the name, this is my least favorite fluffy yarn that I have ever tried. And I would say that it's probably the closest to the Lion brand fur yarn. I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's even a little bit thicker than that one. The only difference I would say is that this one, of course, is made up of the 3 different strands, but also the way that the Lion brand one was made, the strand that it came on was really irritating on my hand. This one is not so much that way, but it is the most similar to that one if you do like that yarn, but I think this one is way, way worse. So in the end, will Big Twist favorite faux fur Ami? I mean, kind of, not really. Do I recommend it for amigurumi? Absolutely not. And honestly, I really wouldn't recommend it for anything else either, just because of how badly this sheds. Imagine trying to make a blanket for a baby or something like that, and then just little bits would get all over them and irritate them. Like, I just don't recommend this yarn overall. And I hate to be harsh like that, but I just have to be honest. So you have to let me know what you thought about today's video. Have you tried this yarn? Am I being way too harsh? Am I just already in a bad mood and so it's coming across in my yarn? I don't know. I feel like I was really excited about this yarn because fur yarns are kind of hard to find in store. So I was so excited to see my Joanne have a whole bunch of different colors in this. So I'm just left really, really disappointed. Oh my gosh, I'm so itchy. If you did like today's video, be sure to hit the like button. You can subscribe, stick around, let me know what other kind of videos you want to see next. You can follow me on Instagram. You can check out my Etsy shop. You can join my Patreon where I make bonus videos as well as an exclusive pattern once a month. And thank you again for watching. I'll see you next time.